Russia in the Bible. 2 Esdras 11 and 12. The real breakdown. Three heads. Russia, Britain and America. Ezekiel 38 and 39. Take notes. Home of the real breakdowns. No gimmicks. No BS, no cold shit. Boom. Russia is mentioned in the scriptures as a country that will rise up in the end of times to destroy the United States of America. And I will prove it in this video. It is mentioned in the book of Revelation, chapter 20 verse 8, as Gog and Magog. And it explains that after 1,000 years of the Edomites being captives, when the white race was brought to a low estate and condition during medieval times, after they took control again, that Gog and Magog or Russia would take part in the last world war or World War III, as well as Ezekiel chapter 38 and chapter 39 uses the same name, Gog and Magog, for Russia. Gog and Magog are descendants from Japhet, although the Russians are not Japhet but Edomites that moved to that area during various Edomite migrations that started in the time of King Saul and King David about 1000 years BC. For more details, watch my videos on Edomites. Russia, besides being mentioned in Revelation chapter 20 and Ezekiel chapter 38 and chapter 39, it is mentioned in Daniel 11 verse 44, with descriptions that match Ezekiel chapter 38 and chapter 39, where it is predicted an invasion to the land of Israel in the Third World War, where Edomites, Amalekites, live since 1948, calling themselves Jews or Israeli. But the most detailed description of Russia is found in the fourth book of Esdras, also called the second book of Esdras, with a level of detail that makes it clear that it's speaking of Russia, with details of the Second World War, the Cold War, and the future Third World War. Ezekiel, Daniel, and Revelation also Mention the third and last World War. Revelation 9 is a detailed description of the First World War. And in verse 12, Revelation 9. Verse 12 predicts 2 more world wars after the first and calls them woes, which means destruction. It is named the 4th book of Esdras, because in the Latin translation, or the Vulgate, Ezra is considered the 1st book of Esdras. Ezra and Esdras are the same person. Nehemiah, who was Esdras' scribe, is the 2nd book of Esdras, and 2 more called apocryphal. So the 3rd and 4th book of Esdras are apocryphal, and they are called as such from a chapter that mentions precisely Russia in the 4th book of Esdras, chapter 12 and verse 37 and 38, where an angel orders Esdras to hide these books. But they are part of the Old Testament. Copies have been found of the 3rd and 4th book of Esdras in the Septuagint, which is a translation into Greek, which dates back to 100 to 200 BC, much before the Roman Empire, well, at least before the 12 Caesars predicted in the 11th and 12th chapter of the 4th book of Esdras. And copies of the 3rd and 4th book of Esdras are also found in the translation into Latin, the Vulgate, and the translation into Spanish, the Biblia del Oso, in 1569. Before going into details, I will summarize the events that involve Russia. In the book of Daniel it is mentioned. In Daniel 7:7 mentions the last beast would be a beast that was not compared to any animal as the others. The 4th beast. In the 4th book of Esdras chapter 11 and 12, this empire is compared to an eagle, representing Rome, and beyond that, Edomite rulership or supremacy. That is to say, white supremacy. And this eagle, this empire of the Edomites, Rome, spread her wings over all the earth, 4th Esdras 11:2, beyond a regional power with 10 provinces, into world dominance as time passed. But the model or image of 10 regions and 3 branches of government remain until this day, and that is the meaning of the image of the beast, meaning modeled after Rome, in other words. Then Rome falls, mentioned in Revelation 13:3, Revelation 17:11, Revelation 20:3, and the 4th book of Esdras, chapter 12 verse 18, which speaks of the fall of Rome, the empire of the Edomites, the white race, the biblical deceiver or devil. And the deceivers rise again, are reborn. And the model of the 10 regions continue after the Renaissance era until today. During the Renaissance in the 1400s AD, 10 European colonial powers rise. 10 European empires that colonize the entire world, but these empires are divided as described in Daniel chapter 2 verse 41, and in 4th Esdras chapter 11 verse 3, and 4th Esdras 12. They are called contrary feathers, 8 empires. 8 contrary feathers / minor empires. 3 heads, major empires. 2 of which are in Europe, UK, Russia. So 8 contrary feathers, minor empires. And 2 heads, top dogs, European empires. To make a total of 10, and out these 10 comes the 3rd head of the eagle, which is the United States, and that fits Daniel 7, which speaks of 10 horns. And out of those 10, not just Britain, comes an 11th horn. Daniel 7:7 and Daniel 7:8. The 11th horn, the third head. In the end this eagle spreads her wings over all the earth, so it evolved from a united empire in Europe, Asia, North Africa, and in the Mediterranean. She spreads her wings during the Renaissance, spreads to colonize the entire earth, Job 9:24. And then, at the very end, in the book of Revelation, it speaks of these empires. The horns developed from empires to a worldwide conspiracy/council. Calls it a council, instead of one mind, in the translation into Spanish, which implies it is a worldwide cabal, an international council mentioned in Revelation 17 verse 13. All these empires and nations turn into a council or cabal, where these Edomite elite are in authority, speaking on councils such as United Nations, Club of Rome, CFR, councils of that sort. These councils continue the model of 10 regions. From Europe, the Club of Rome, formed by 10 regions. The USA divides the country into 10 regions. The United Nations divide the whole world into 10 regions. Among these councils are included the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and other such councils. The fourth book of Esdras, chapter 11 and chapter 12 says that out of the 3 heads or top empires of the eagle, the 3 major empires, the 3 major empires of the Edomites or white race, being England, Russia, and the United States of America, one loses power or influence after the Second World War end. And that head or top empire is England. Then there are only 2 heads, which triggers the Cold War. Out of these 2 heads, fourth book of Esdras 11:35 says that the country located on the right or east, being Russia, will destroy the country located on the left or west, the United States of America. Also among all this, Russia will invade both the United States of America and Israel, to attack the land of Israel and the children of Israel that are the minorities in the United States, and that is also described in Daniel chapter 11:44 and Ezekiel chapter 38 and chapter 39. This will be part of Jacob's trouble and martial law, described in the fourth book of Esdras, chapter 15 and chapter 16. At the end, all these nations and councils and heathens will fight against the Messiah and will be destroyed by the Messiah and his armies, UFOs. The fourth book of Esdras chapter 11 and chapter 12 describes the fourth beast in Daniel chapter 7 describes the empire as an eagle. And it reads, 4th Esdras chapter 11. Then saw I a dream, and, behold, there came up from the sea an eagle, which had 12 feathered wings, birth of Rome, 12 Caesars, and 3 heads, death of Rome with USA, UK, Russia. The 12 feathered wings are the first 12 Caesars of Rome, starting with Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar was a Roman dictator from 49 BC to 44 BC. The title Caesar comes from his last name, then after that Augustus, who ruled in the second triumvirate from 44 BC to 27 BC, 17 years. became Caesar in 27b.c. ruled until 14a.d for a total of 42 years, no year 0, for a grand total of 59 almost 60 years. After Augustus was Tiberius, who ruled from 14a.d to 37a.d for a total of 23 years. After him was Caligula, who ruled from 37 to 41 AD for a total of 4 years. Claudius ruled from 41 to 54 AD, a total of 13 years. Then Nero ruled from 54 to 68 AD, 14 years. Then Galba from 68 to 69 AD, 1 year. Then Otho 69 AD. Then Vitellius 69 AD for a few months. Then Vespasian from 69 to 79 AD. 10 years. Then Titus from 79 to 81 AD, 2 years, and the last one was Domitian. From 81 to 96 AD, 15 years, and the 3 heads represent a pattern, a model of a way to govern for the Edomite empires, starting with the triumvirates, then the 3 branches of government that the USA has today and other countries. However, beyond that, the 3 heads represent 3 top Edomite powers/empires, or countries, being America, UK, England, and Russia. Get with the program. For Esdras 11:2, and I saw, and, behold, she spread her wings over all the earth. Plain and simple. In other words, this goes beyond the original Roman Empire started by Julius Caesar to worldwide dominance. Beyond the ancient world to all the earth. Continuing with 4 Esdras 11:2, and all the winds of the air blew on her, and were gathered together, things were in her favor, or the Edomites' favor, white people, so you can understand. 4 Esdras 11:3, jumps to the 1400s AD Renaissance, and I beheld, and out of her feathers there grew other contrary feathers. And they became little feathers and small, meaning minor empires, and contrary meaning at war with each other. Needs no explanation, it's clear. Later it explains how these are minor empires and the 3 heads major empires, 2 heads originally, UK, Russia, 10 then America, to make 11 empires. 4 Esdras 11:4, but her heads were at rest, meaning the little punk empires were ruling first, i.e. Portugal, Spain, the Dutch, etc. Clear. Continuing with Esdras 11:4, the head in the midst was greater than the others, yet rested it with the residue. The head in the midst being greater than the others in power. Now it gives you geographical information, and it tells you this head of top empire is more powerful than the other 2. At first, and it is located between the other 2 heads or empires. On the right, east, is Russia, on the left, America, west, and in the middle is England. Easy. The head in the midst is England, Britain, UK, etc. The midst was greater than the others because, up until World War II, England was the superpower among them 3 heads and worldwide really. Yet rested it with the residue. Meaning it was not time to show what empires represent these heads until World War II. 4 Esdras 11:5, moreover I beheld, and, lo, the eagle flew with her feathers, empires, and reigned upon earth, and over them that dwelt therein. 4 Esdras 11:6, and I saw that all things under heaven were subject unto her, and no man spake against her. No, not one creature upon earth. Meaning Esau was running shit, on real lockdown, total dominance. No one talked smack against Massa, master, the devil. 4 Esdras 11:7, and I beheld, and, lo, the eagle rose upon her talons, and spake to her feathers, 12 Caesars in this case, saying, 4 Esdras 11:8, watch not all at once, sleep every one in his own place, and watch by course. speaking of the birth of an empire. And the 12 Caesars. How they will rule in succession one after the other. Starting with Caesar himself. Julius. For Esdras 11:9 But let the heads be preserved for the last. Meaning the death of the Edomite rule with three major superpowers, UK, Russia, America. The three heads will not raise up as a superpower until the end. Because the superpowers in the Renaissance did not include these heads until the end. The first 8 empires are as follows, not chronological, in general, the German Empire that had 3 phases. The original empire that ended in 1918, 1871 to 1918, with World War I. Then the Weimar Republic that ended in 1933, then the Third Reich or Kingdom, even though Hitler counted the Holy Roman Empire as Reich I, but that was not Edom but Jacob. The Third Reich was Hitler's Germany that ended in 1943, that would be Feather I. A second feather is the Austria-Hungarian Empire. Existed from 1867 until 1919. A third feather or empire is the French Empire. Existed from 1792 until 1958. A fourth feather is the Italian Empire that reigned over Northeast Africa from 1861 until 1960. The fifth feather or empire is the Belgium Empire, reigned from 1885 until 1962. Reigned over the Belgium Congo. A sixth feather or empire is the Dutch Empire that had power from 1602 until 1975. Ruled over South Africa, parts of India and other parts of the world. A seventh feather would be the Portuguese Empire. That reigned from 1415 until 1975. An eighth feather would be a famous one. The Spanish Empire that reigned supreme from 1492 until 1976. For Esdras 11:9 But let the heads be preserved for the last. The last meaning the end. The heads would be 3 superpowers. Being the United Kingdom that reigned as an empire from 1601 until 1997. Today Great Britain or England. A second head would be the Russians. That had an empire from 1721 until 1917. Today it is the Russian Federation. The third head would be the United States of America's the superpower of today. For Esdras 11:9 But let the heads be preserved for the last. USA, Russia, and England, just accepted scrubs, you fucked up. For Esdras 11:10 And I beheld, and, lo, the voice went not out of her heads, but from the midst of her body. First was the 12 Caesars, then the 8 minor empires during the Renaissance, at the end the 3 heads or superpowers. The midst of the body would be the 8 minor empires. The 3 heads were not superpowers at first during the Renaissance. For Esdras 11:11 And I numbered her contrary feathers, and, behold, there were 8 of them. Boom. The 8 minor empires I just told you about. Worship and honor the Most High, that's it. Maybe you'll grow scrubs. For Esdras 11:12 jumps to the birth of the empire in the east or the right. And I looked, and, behold, on the right side there arose one feather, Julius Caesar. And reigned over all the earth, the ancient world. For Esdras 11:13 And so it was, that when it reigned, the end of it came. The death of Julius Caesar, and the place thereof appeared no more. Caesar is gone, not to return as a feather, got it? So the next following stood up, and reigned, and had a great time. This would be Augustus, who reigned for a total of 58 to 59 years. A great time. This is crystal clear when you take the triumvirate into account. Only the blind can't see this. Reading on for Esdras 11:14. And it happened, that when it reigned, the end of it came also, like as the first, so that it appeared no more. Speaking of Augustus, he eventually died also. For Esdras 11:15, is speaking to the second Caesar or Feather. Speaking to Augustus. Then came there a voice unto it, and said, For Esdras 11:16, hear thou that hast borne rule over the earth so long, Augustus, this I say unto thee, before thou beginnest to appear no more. For Esdras 11:17, there shall none after thee attain unto thy time, neither unto the half thereof. Speaking to Augustus. There shall none after thee attain unto thy time, neither unto the half thereof. Because Augustus reigned 58 to 59 years. Neither unto the half thereof. The next longest reigning Caesar would be Tiberius. That ruled for 23 years. Neither unto the half thereof. I.e., not even half. For Esdras 11:18. Then arose the third, and reigned as the other before, and appeared no more also. This would be Tiberius that ruled then died like the others. For Esdras 11:19, so went it with all the residue one after another, as that every one reigned, and then appeared no more. Same happened to the rest of the 12 Caesars that reigned and then died. For Esdras 11:20, then I beheld, and, lo, in process of time, the feathers that followed stood up upon the right side, still taking about ancient Rome in the east or old world on the right. That they might rule also, and some of them ruled. But within a while they appeared no more, speaking of the Caesars that ruled for short time. For Esdras 11:21, for some of them were set up, but ruled not. Speaking of the year of the 4 emperors, 69 AD. Specifically Otho and Vitellius. All the infighting they ended up killing each other. For Esdras 11:22, takes a leap to WWI, after this I looked, and, behold, the 12 feathers appeared no more, nor the 2 little feathers. I said the 2 little feathers were Otho and Vitellius, but the term, little feather, refers to minor empires, not to Caesars. I later catch myself and correct it. 12 Caesars are gone and 2 little feathers of Portugal and Spain by WWI. For Esdras 11:23, and there was no more upon the eagle's body, but 3 heads, major empires, that rested, and 6 little wings, 6 minor empires. For Esdras 11:24, then saw I also that 2 little feathers, Germany and Austria-Hungary, divided themselves from the 6. And remained under, Serbia, the head that was upon the right side, Russia, for the 4 continued in their place. Germany and Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, which is under Russia. Geographical prophecy. Wow. When it speaks of the 6 little wings or little feathers, it does not include Spain and Portugal. It only includes the rest of the 8. Here is where I catch myself. The 2 little wings or feathers, minor empires, that divided themselves from the 6, is the German Empire and the Austria-Hungarian Empire. This was the cause of World War I. These 2 empires tried to expand, and it was the cause of World War I, which is also described in the book of Revelation chapter 9. For Esdras 11:24 again. Then saw I also that 2 little feathers divided themselves from the 6, and remained under the head that was upon the right side, the head on the right being Russia. Serbia is under Russia. For the 4 continued in their place. For Esdras 11:25, and I beheld, and, lo, the feathers that were under the wing thought to set up themselves and to have the rule. Like I told you, Germany and Austria-Hungary were trippin' and wanted to rule. The little punks thought they had it like that. Speaking of Germany and Austria-Hungary, they just happen to be number 1 and number 2 on my list of minor empires. For Esdras 11:26 And I beheld, and, lo, there was one set up, but shortly it appeared no more. This is speaking of Austria-Hungary. It was set up as an empire but it overreached and disappeared after World War I, gone forever. It's deep. The German Empire also lost but did not disappear, it had the Weimar Republic, then Nazi Germany after that. For Esdras 11:27 And the second was sooner away than the first. Like I said, Germany, but it did not disappear. For Esdras 11:28 jumps to World War II, and I beheld, and, lo, the two that remained thought also in themselves to reign. Two that remained meaning two of the 8 minor empires that were still powerful and part of the ancient Holy Roman Empire Hitler wanted to re-establish. Austro-Hungarian had fallen already. The German Empire fell, but then it became the Weimar Republic. After the Weimar Republic came the Third Reich, Nazi Germany. And the only other one is Italy. The Holy Roman Empire at a point only went from Germany down to Italy. So Germany and Italy thought also in themselves to reign. The Second World War, Nazi Germany and Italy trippin', acting up. For Esdras 11:29, this is when the heads wake up, pay attention. And when they so thought, Germany and Italy to rule, behold, there awaked one of the heads that were at rest. Namely, it that was in the midst, for that was greater than the two other heads. The head that was in the midst is Great Britain. It is talking geographically. On the left is America, in the middle or midst is England, on the right is Russia. The one in the midst awoke. That would be England. Namely, it that was in the midst, for that was greater than the two other heads. At the time this happened, with Italy under Mussolini and Germany under Hitler, thought to reign Europe and the world, Pinky and the brain. The one that put a stop to that was England. She woke up and she had more power than the other two heads, Russia and America. For Esdras 11:30 And then I saw that the two other heads were joined with it. So at first it was England that tried to stop Germany and Italy. But then the other two heads joined America, Russia. Joined England to stop the German war machine. Under Hitler, Nazi Germany, and Italy. Under Mussolini. For Esdras 11:31 And, behold, the head was turned with them that were with it. Which is the alliance of World War II between America, Russia and England. Continuing with for Esdras 11:31 And did eat up the two feathers under the wing that would have reigned. So the allied heads America, England, and Russia, ate the two punk little feathers that wanted to reign. Like I said, the two little feathers are Nazi Germany and Italy. And this prophecy was fulfilled during World War II. Barakata Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. For Esdras 11:31 And did eat up the two feathers under the wing that would have reigned. For Esdras 11:32 goes into how badass Great Britain or the UK was. For Esdras 11:32 But this head put the whole earth in fear. Speaking of England, the UK. That for a while controlled all the earth. Reading on, for Esdras 11:32 And bare rule in it over all those that dwelt upon the earth. With much oppression, and it had the governance of the world. More than all the wings, 8 minor empires, that had been. Don't know if you have heard the term. The empire on which the sun never sets. Speaking of Great Britain, the Lord pays tribute to this head. For Esdras 11:33 And after this I beheld, and, lo, the head that was in the midst, UK, suddenly appeared no more, like as the wings. The head in the midst is the United Kingdom, Great Britain. That appeared no more as a superpower and influence. It did not literally disappear, but its economic and military power did. And this happened after World War II as prophesied. Suddenly appeared no more, like as the wings. The wings speaking of Germany and Italy. Italy became a tourist attraction and not a superpower. Germany was split between America and Russia. That is why you have the Berlin Wall and the American army occupies West Germany. It's a territory essentially. For Esdras 1134, but there remained the two heads. So only Russia and America remained as superpowers. For Esdras 1134, which also in like sort ruled upon the earth, and over those that dwelt therein. When it says, in like sort ruled upon the earth, it means that these are the only two superpowers on earth. This was the cause of the Cold War. After England lost its status as a superpower, only Russia and America remained, causing the Cold War. That is what that means. For Esdras 1134, which also in like sort ruled upon the earth, and over those that dwelt therein. For Esdras 1135, and I beheld, and, lo, the head upon the right side devoured it that was upon the left side. Oh shit. Geographically speaking, Russia on the right eats America on the left. Some National Geographic shit. There are more details on this final conflict, which is World War III. In Ezekiel 38 and 39 that I will break down after. For Esdras 11 and 12. I will go into detail on Ezekiel 38 and 39. For Esdras 11:36, then I heard a voice, which said unto me, Look before thee, and consider the thing that thou seest. For Esdras 11:37, and I beheld, and lo, as it were a roaring lion. This lion is Yahweh, the one you call Jesus. Came out of the woods like a roaring lion chased out of the woods. And I saw that he sent out a man's voice unto the eagle, and said, Yahweh talking to the last beast, the eagle, and all its empires and councils of the Edomites. Boom, when the Lord talks, people die. The real mafioso. Applause. Rebuking the entire fourth beast from Julius Caesar to America. The entire eagle from the 12 Caesars, 8 minor empires, 3 heads, major empires. All the Edomite infrastructure and the world elite. Grrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr Yahweh talking to Edomites, white people, hear thou, I will talk with thee. And the highest shall say unto thee. For Esdras 11:39 Art not thou it that remainest of the four beasts, Daniel 7:7. Whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them? Speaking to white people Esau, Edom, for Esdras 6:9. For Esdras 11:40 And the fourth came, and overcame all the beasts that were past, and had power over the world with great fearfulness, and over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression. And so long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit. For Esdras 11:41 For the earth hast thou not judged with truth. For Esdras 11:42 For thou hast afflicted the meek, thou hast hurt the peaceable. Thou hast loved liars, and destroyed the dwellings of them that brought forth fruit. And hast cast down the walls of such as did thee no harm. For Esdras 11:43 Therefore is thy wrongful dealing come up unto the highest, links with Revelation 18:5. Where it says Babylon's sins have reached unto heaven, and thy pride unto the mighty, Yahweh. The highest also hath looked upon the proud times, and, behold, they are ended, and his abominations are fulfilled. And therefore appear no more, thou eagle, nor thy horrible wings, 12 Caesars, nor thy wicked feathers, 8 minor empires, nor thy malicious heads, America, England, and Russia, nor thy hurtful claws, military, nor all thy vain body, all the Edomite counsels, that all the earth may be refreshed, and may return, being delivered from thy violence. and that she may hope for the judgment and mercy of him that made her. For Book of Esdras, chapter 12. And it came to pass, whiles the lion spake these words unto the eagle, I saw, and, behold, the head that remained, Russia. And the four wings appeared no more, and the two went unto it, and set themselves up to reign, and their kingdom was small, and full of uproar. This is a future prophecy, after World War III. Of the 8 minor empires 4 will remain low-key, plus the one head Russia, and they would fight each other for world dominance. It will be brief and full of uproar. Reading on. And I saw, and, behold, they appeared no more. This is Yahweh destroying these Edomite empires. Read Revelation 17:14. It tells you they try to fight Yahweh and they get obliterated. And the whole body of the eagle was burnt. Like I told you, the Lord burns them up, makes easy work out of them. At first they fight each other like reservoir dogs, then they fight the Lord like fools. So that the earth was in great fear. In other precepts, it tells you during the Third World War and the Apocalypse, the entire earth will shake. Then awaked I out of the trouble and trance of my mind, and from great fear, and said unto my spirit, Lo, this hast thou done unto me, in that thou searchest out the ways of the Highest. Lo, yet am I weary in my mind, and very weak in my spirit, and little strength is there in me, for the great fear wherewith I was afflicted this night. Therefore will I now beseech the Highest, that he will comfort me unto the end. And I said, Lord that bearest rule, if I have found grace before thy sight, and if I am justified with thee before many others, and if my prayer indeed be come up before thy face, comfort me then, and shew me, thy servant, the interpretation and plain difference of this fearful vision, that thou mayest perfectly comfort my soul. For thou hast judged me worthy to shew me the last times. And he said unto me, This is the interpretation of the vision. The eagle, whom thou sawest come up from the sea, is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of thy brother Daniel. Daniel 7:7, but it was not expounded unto him, therefore now I declare it unto thee. Behold, the days will come, that there shall rise up a kingdom upon earth, and it shall be feared above all the kingdoms that were before it, Roman Empire. In the same shall 12 kings reign, one after another. These are the first 12 Caesars, starting with Julius Caesar, one after another. Here in chapter 12 it tells you almost the same as chapter 11, but it makes it more clear, whereof the second shall begin to reign, and shall have more time than any of the 12. Speaking of Augustus, who reigned about 58 years. Second longest reigning Caesar was Tiberius, who reigned for 23 years, not even half. Reading on, and this do the 12 wings signify, which thou sawest. As for the voice which thou heardest speak, and that thou sawest not to go out from the heads but from the midst of the body thereof, this is the interpretation. These are the 8 minor empires of the Renaissance that I covered in chapter 11. 3 phases to the eagle, 12 Caesars, 8 empires or midst at the end 3 heads. For Esdras 12:18, that after the time of that kingdom there shall arise great strivings, and it shall stand in peril of falling, fall of Rome. Nevertheless it shall not then fall, but shall be restored again to his beginning, Renaissance. Speaking of a time after the fall of Rome, past medieval times and the Dark Ages. How it almost fell, but it did not fall, because it was reborn. And it shall stand in peril of falling, nevertheless it shall not then fall, but shall be restored again to his beginning, clear. It returned. And it shall stand in peril of falling, but shall be restored again to his beginning. And whereas thou sawest the 8 small under feathers sticking to her wings, this is the interpretation. These following 8 under feathers or minor empires come after the fall of Rome, clear. That in him there shall arise 8 kings, empires, whose times shall be but small, and their years swift. links up with Revelation 17:10 that speaks of the 7 kingdoms or heads, the 7th being these 8 empires will rule for a swift or small time. Deep. These 7 heads are only mentioned in Revelation. So the mystery is solved within the book of Revelation. Speaking of the 7 empires that ruled over Israel being Egypt, 1, Assyria, 2, Babylon, 3, Persia, 4, Greece, 5, Rome, 6. The 7th being the empires of the Renaissance colonial Europe. Confirmed here in 4 Esdras chapter 12. And out of those came an 8th horn, America. Reading on. And 2 of them shall perish, Portugal and Spain, the middle time approaching. 4 shall be kept until their end begin to approach. But 2 shall be kept unto the end. So out of the 8 minor empires, and the 3 heads or major empires, 2 empires will be preserved until the end. It does not give details on which empires will remain, but based on the Second World War, Belgium and the Dutch were neutral. Those may be preserved until the end. They are the most likely candidates since they have more Edomites today. Spain and Portugal were neutral also, but those 2 had Edomite elites. However, there was extensive mixing among those. No one considers those empires as Edomites or white. Belgium and Holland are still pretty white. I would say Edomite majority. So it's probably Holland and Belgium. For Esdras 12:22, and whereas thou sawest 3 heads resting, this is the interpretation. In his last days shall the Most High raise up 3 kingdoms, boom, not Vespasian. America, England, and Russia, and renew many things therein. And they shall have the dominion of the earth, and of those that dwell therein, with much oppression, above all those that were before them, therefore are they called the heads of the eagle. For these are they that shall accomplish his wickedness, and that shall finish his last end. And whereas thou sawest that the great head appeared no more, it signifieth that one of them, England, shall die upon his bed, Europe, and yet with pain. England lost its superpower status in Europe after World War II. For the 2 that remain shall be slain with the sword. Speaking of Russia and America, for Esdras 12:28, for the sword of the one, Russia, shall devour the other, America. But at the last shall he fall through the sword himself, Russia. As described in Revelation 17:14 and Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39, reading on. And whereas thou sawest 2 feathers under the wings passing over the head that is on the right side. In other words, it gives you locations 2 minor empires near Russia. Like I said, the most likely candidate is Belgium and Holland. Reading on. It signifieth that these are they, whom the highest hath kept unto their end, and they must be kept unto their end. Because after the fall of the Edomites, some Edomites must remain alive so they can go into slavery. Under the Israelites, if they all die, there would be no Edomite slaves, and those 2 countries are Edomites. Besides them, the Edomite elite will survive and hide all over the earth, and that is described, I believe, in Isaiah, where it says they will be pulled out of their hiding places. Reading on. This is the small kingdom and full of trouble, as thou sawest. And the lion, whom thou sawest rising up out of the wood, and roaring, and speaking to the eagle, and rebuking her for her unrighteousness with all the words which thou hast heard, this is the anointed, which the highest hath kept for them. And for their wickedness unto the end, he shall reprove them, and shall upbraid them with their cruelty. For he shall set them before him alive in judgment, and shall rebuke them, and correct them. For the rest of my people shall he deliver with mercy, those that have been pressed upon my borders. And he shall make them joyful until the coming of the day of judgment, whereof I have spoken unto thee from the beginning. This is the dream that thou sawest, and these are the interpretations. Thou only hast been meet to know this secret of the highest. Therefore write all these things that thou hast seen in a book, and hide them. Where you get the name apocryphal, hidden, secret. And teach them to the wise of the people, whose hearts thou knowest. May comprehend and keep these secrets. Ezekiel chapter 38, reading from the Biblia dell'Osso. Here the commentary of Cassiodoro de Reina is incorrect. This prophecy had not yet taken place at the time of Cassiodoro de Reina. Let's read anyway, see what it says. A prophecy of the wars and victories that the Jews would have after returning from captivity to their land against the successors Alexander that would come to trouble them. Cassiodoro is saying that this chapter covers the trouble Antiochus put the Jews through, although that did happen. This invasion of Israel has not taken place. The invasion of Antiochus is described in Daniel 8, Daniel 11, and the books of Maccabees. This, however, is talking about the last part of Daniel 11. Daniel 11 verses 40 to 45. In the last days the Seleucid Empire or Amalek Greeks returned to Israel in 1948. The Israeli descend from the Seleucid Amalekites. As you know, the Greek empires came from Macedonia. Who are Amalekites? They came to trouble the Jews in the time of the Greeks, and these same Amalekites returned to Israel in 1948 to cause the Arab-Israeli conflict. That is the Israel that it refers to here in Ezekiel 38. An Israel where the Edomite, Amalekite occupy in the end times. Reading chapter 38. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, Russia, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, Turkey and Armenia, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Why is he against Gog and Magog? Because they are Edomites. And I will turn thee back, and put hooks into thy jaws. And I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses, and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor. Even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. More details of Russia's allies are mentioned in Jeremiah 46 verse 9 that reads as follow, Come up, ye horses, and rage, ye chariots. And let the mighty men come forth, the Ethiopians and the Libyans that handle the shield, and the Lydians. Turkey takes sides with Russia, that handle and bend the bow. Those bows are nuclear weapons. More details of Russia's allies with other countries is found in Daniel 11 verses 40 to 45, and it reads, And at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, speaking of Egypt, rose up to fight the Amalekites or Israeli in the start of the Arab-Israeli War in 1948. The king of the north would be the Israeli. Reading on. And the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots, and with horsemen, and with many ships. Explaining how the Israeli attack Egypt, and he shall enter into the countries, and shall overflow and pass over. He shall enter also into the glorious land which is Israel. When the Amalekites forced their way into Israel in 1948. Reading on. And many countries shall be overthrown, but these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom, and Moab, and the chief city of Ammon, all those lands being Jordan today with its capital at Amman. Jordan was not affected as much by the Arab-Israeli conflict. He shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. Prophesying how Egypt would eventually fall to the American-Israeli alliance, to the Amalekite Israeli. But he shall have power over the treasures of gold and of silver, and over all the precious things of Egypt, and the Libyans and the Ethiopians shall be at his steps. Speaking of the fall of Egypt and how the Israeli took control of Egypt and its resources. It also mentions Libyans and the Ethiopians shall be at his steps. Prophesying that the Israeli allies to America will trouble Ethiopia and Libya. And here is where Russia comes in. but tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. The north being Russia and its allies here it mentions. The east, Russian and her allies in the east, China and Iran, therefore he, Russia, shall go forth with great fury to destroy, and utterly to make away many. And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas, America. In the glorious holy mountain, Israel, yet he shall come to his end, Russia, and none shall help him. In other words, countries from the north and the east being Russia and her, will enter Israel and her palace between the seas, America. Revelation 17:1, Rev 17:15 whore that sitteth upon many waters. But at the end Russia will also get destroyed. I break shit down up in here. What is interesting about this prophecy about Libya and Ethiopia is that these two countries are not considered nuclear risks. This video is from 2018, however. This prophecy is coming to pass this year, 2018. Russia and Ethiopia have made agreements with Russia to develop nuclear energy for these countries, and it will most likely lead to nuclear weapons in the hands of Ethiopia and Libya from that partnership with Russia, which is something no one would have imagined, dust-eating Hamites with nuclear weapons. And it is happening. Reading on with Ezekiel chapter 38. Verse 6 Gomer, and all his bands, the house of Togarmah which are areas in and around Armenia, of the north quarters, and all his bands. And many people with thee, Russia and her world 3 allies, be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself. Thou, and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. As you may be aware, every time America and Israel try to bully countries such as Persia, Iran, for example, or Syria, Russia acts as a guard unto these countries, big fuzzy Papa Bear. Reading on with Ezekiel 38 verse 8, which speaks of the children of Israel. Not so much the land of Israel that today mostly inhabit the Western Hemisphere, which are the descendants from black slaves, Southern Kingdom. Also the descendants from indigenous tribes in the Americas and Indians that mixed Hosea 7:8, Mestizo Latinos. At least most Mexicans have Indian blood, and of course there are smaller amounts dispersed throughout other races and other countries. Reading on with Ezekiel chapter 38 verse 8, speaking of a Russian invasion not only to Israel but also America. After many days thou shalt be visited. In the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword. America has not been invaded in recent history, and is gathered out of many people. Rev 17:15. Against the mountains of Israel, speaking both of the land and the children of Israel, which are the minorities in America, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations. The real Israelites are attacked and harassed by other races or nations, and they shall dwell safely all of them, heathens in America. Ezekiel 38:9 Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land. Thou, and all thy bands, and many people with thee. More details of this invasion are found in the last verses of Wisdom of Solomon. Chapter 5 verse 20, which reads, His severe wrath shall he sharpen for a sword, and the world shall fight with him against the unwise. Then shall the right aiming thunderbolts go abroad, and from the clouds, as from a well-drawn bow, shall they fly to the mark. Speaking of World 3 nuclear war, and hailstones full of wrath shall be cast as out of a stone bow. And the water of the sea shall rage against them, and the floods shall cruelly drown them. Yet, a mighty wind shall stand up against them, and like a storm shall blow them away. Thus iniquity shall lay waste the whole earth, and ill-dealing shall overthrow the thrones of the mighty. In other words, overthrow the Edomite elite. Reading on Ezekiel chapter 38 verse 10, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh. It shall also come to pass, that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, Russians' minds. And thou shalt think an evil thought, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, America. All of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars nor gates. To take a spoil, and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon. He desolate places that are now inhabited, referring to Malachi 1:4. Where it speaks of Edomites building in desolate places. That are now inhabited in Malachi 1:4 that reads, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, during the dark ages medieval times. But we will return, during the Renaissance, and build the desolate places, colonized lands in the Americas. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts. They shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever. Reading on with Ezekiel 38 verse 12, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, heathens, which have gotten cattle and goods, heathen who steal goods from Israelites, that dwell in the midst of the land. That dwell in the midst of the land. Also heathens in the land of Israel. Reading on Ezekiel 38 verse 13 Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish. Reading on Ezekiel 38 verse 13 Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish. Which is Saudi Arabia to Turkey, with all the young lions thereof. Shall say unto thee, art thou come to take a spoil? Hast thou gathered thy company to take a prey? To carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, to take a great spoil. When it speaks of young lions, it is speaking of the lions of Arabia, which is also described in the book of Amos chapter 5 verse 19, and it reads, as if a man did flee from a lion, Arabs, and a bear met him, Russia. Or went into the house, and leaned his hand on the wall. And a serpent, China the dragon, bit him. Speaking of the American and Israeli Amalekites, how they are attacked by the Arabs, Russians, Chinese and all of Russia's allies. Reading on Ezekiel 38:14 Therefore, Son of man, prophesy and say unto Gog, Russia, thus saith the Lord God, in that day when my people of Israel, blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, dwelleth safely. Shalt thou not know it, the Israelites are the minorities in America. The heathen dwell safely in Babylon, but so do the wicked Israelites, the 2/3 who will be destroyed. Because they are wicked and many are dependent on welfare. And are a bunch of lazy bums. Especially the ones that have been in America for many generations. Ezekiel 38:15 And thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts. Thou, and many people with thee, Russia and her allies, thou, and many people with thee. All of them riding upon horses, a great company, and a mighty army, Ezekiel 38:16 And thou shalt come up against my people of Israel, minorities in America, as a cloud to cover the land. It shall be in the latter days, end times. And I will bring thee against my land, Israel. That the heathen, Amalek in Israel, may know me, clearly tells you heathen dwell in Israel in the latter days, burn. I know you scrubs gonna copy that. When I shall be sanctified in thee, O Gog, before their eyes. He will use Russia to demonstrate his power. Ezekiel 38:17 Thus saith the Lord God, art thou he of whom I have spoken in old time? By my servants the prophets of Israel, Daniel and Esdras, which prophesied in those days many years, that I would bring thee against them. And it shall come to pass at the same time when Gog, Russia, shall come against the land of Israel, saith the Lord God, that my fury shall come up in my face. For in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel, caused by nuclear war World 3. So that the fishes of the sea, and the fowls of the heaven, and the beasts of the field, and all creeping things that creep upon the earth, Amalek and Edom, and all the men that are upon the face of the earth, there it is, metaphors for men, shall shake at my presence, and the mountains shall be thrown down, governments, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. And I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains, saith the Lord God, every man's sword shall be against his brother. Speaking of civil war and riots all over the world. And I will plead against him with pestilence and with blood. And I will rain upon him, and upon his bands, and upon the many people that are with him, an overflowing rain, and great hailstones, fire, and brimstone. As I said before, that is also described in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5. Thus will I magnify myself, and sanctify myself, and I will be known in the eyes of many nations. And they shall know that I am the Lord. This last part of Ezekiel 38 is describing how Russia and her allies will be destroyed by Yahweh, which is also described in 4th Esdras chapter 13 verse 8 and Revelation 17 verse 14. Ezekiel 39 goes into the fall of Russia after the Third World War, and it reads, Therefore, thou, Son of man, prophesy against Gog, Russia, and say, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. And I will turn thee back, and leave but the sixth part of thee, and will cause thee to come up from the north parts, America. And will bring thee upon the mountains of Israel, and I will smite thy bow out of thy left hand, and will cause thine arrows to fall out of thy right hand. Speaking of nuclear bombs, thou shalt fall upon the mountains of Israel, Israel. Thou, and all thy bands, and the people that is with thee, I will give thee unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured. Explaining how they attack America and Israel. Then Russia and her allies also get destroyed by the Messiah, cold. Described in Revelation 17 how they will be destroyed in Jehoshaphat, Yahweh shapeth God's judgment. Here it is called the valley of Hamon-Gog. Thou shalt fall upon the open field. For I have spoken it, saith the Lord Yahweh. And I will send a fire on Magog, Russia, and among them that dwell carelessly in the isles, referring to the land of Japhet, Europe, and they shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh. So will I make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel, and I will not let them pollute my holy name any more, and the heathen shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh, the Holy One in Israel. Behold, it is come, and it is done, it is done, baby, saith the Lord God Yahweh, this is the day whereof I have spoken. And they that dwell in the cities of Israel shall go forth, and shall set on fire and burn the weapons. Speaking of when the real Israelites return to Israel, who are the minorities, blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, they that dwell in the cities of Israel shall go forth, and shall set on fire and burn the weapons, both the shields and the bucklers, the bows and the arrows, and the handstaves, and the spears, and they shall burn them with fire 7 years. Speaking of a process of cleaning the land of Israel after World War III. So that they shall take no wood out of the field, neither cut down any out of the forests, for they shall burn the weapons with fire. And they shall spoil those that spoiled them, and rob those that robbed them, saith the Lord Yahweh. Payback is a bitch, and it shall come to pass in that day, that I will give unto Gog a place there of graves in Israel, Megiddo. In the valley of Jehoshaphat there Russia will lose in the Levant Middle East. Will be Russia's grave. The valley of the passengers on the east of the sea. And it shall stop the noses of the passengers, and there shall they bury Gog in all his multitude. And they shall call it the valley of Hamon-Gog, means multitude. And 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying of them, speaking of Israelites. Will hire Edomite slaves to clean the land, that they may cleanse the land. Yet, all the people of the land shall bury them, dead people. And it shall be to them a renown the day that I shall be glorified, saith the Lord God Yahweh. And they shall sever out men of continual employment, white slaves, Edomites, passing through the land to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it. After the end of 7 months shall they search. And the passengers that pass through the land. When any seeth a man's bone, then shall he set up a sign by it. Till the buriers, white slaves, have buried it. In the valley of Haman Gog. The valley of the multitude of dead heathens. And also the name of the city shall be Hamanah. Thus shall they cleanse the land. And, thou son of man, thus saith the Lord God Yahweh, speak unto every feathered fowl, and to every beast of the field, assemble yourselves. Here it is describing the kingdom of the Israelites. Gather yourselves on every side to my sacrifice that I do sacrifice for you, just for us. Speaking of Russia and the heathens. Even a great sacrifice upon the mountains of Israel, that ye may eat flesh and drink blood. Ye shall eat the flesh of the mighty, and drink the blood of the princes of the earth. Of rams, of lambs, and of goats, describing Amalek and other heathens. Of bullocks, all of them fatlings of Bashan. Bashan belonged to the northern kingdom, Syria today. The northern kingdom then moved to the Americas, so it is saying, wealth, gold, silver, heathens took from the northern kingdom in the Americas. And ye shall eat fat till ye be full, and drink blood till ye be drunken. Of my sacrifice which I have sacrificed for you, for us. Thus ye shall be filled at my table. With horses and chariots, with mighty men, and with all men of war, saith the Lord Yahweh. And I will set my glory among the heathen, and all the heathen shall see my judgment that I have executed, and my hand that I have laid upon them. So the house of Israel shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh their God from that day and forward. Our God, the God of minorities, Black, Latino and Native Americans. What's up now, heathens? And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity. For their iniquity we fucked up, for our sins the blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Not because you animals are better. It was all our fault, the Israelites. He made you think you were superior just to teach us a lesson. Reading, because they trespassed against me, therefore hid I my face from them. Till this day the real Israelites don't know they are Israelites because God hid his face from us. And gave them into the hand of their enemies, white Edomites. So fell they all by the sword. According to their uncleanness and according to their transgressions. Have I done unto them, and hid my face from them. Therefore thus saith the Lord God. Now will I bring again the captivity of Jacob, and have mercy upon the whole house of Israel. And will be jealous for my holy name, after that they have borne their shame. The shame that we messed up and disobeyed. And all their trespasses whereby they have trespassed against me, when they dwelt safely in their land, and none made them afraid. Speaking of when we will live in Israel and remember all the drama like a bad dream. When I have brought them again from the people, because we got scattered in the American continent and all over the world. When I have brought them again from the people, and gathered them out of their enemies' lands, and am sanctified in them in the sight of many nations, then shall they know that I am the Lord their God, the God of blacks, Mexicans, and Indians, Latinos, which caused them to be led into captivity among the heathen, but I have gathered them unto their own land, and have left none of them any more there. Neither will I hide my face any more from them. For I have poured out my spirit upon the house of Israel, saith the Lord God. Yahweh. What is ironic is that the elite wants to exterminate the real Israelites, plans to make a Holocaust, burnt offering to Satan, out of us. But it is them who will be a burn offering, and Edom will only exterminate 66% of the Israelites, which is the Lord's will. The majority of our people are wicked. Let's keep it real. That is what salvation is all about. If the Israelites want salvation, they must learn the truth and return to Yahweh and practice the righteous acts as mentioned in Judges chapter 5. Verse 11. The Israelites, besides being the Latinos, Blacks and indigenous people of the Americas, they are scattered all over the world, and according to the curses of Deuteronomy 28 verse 64 they are scattered among all races, and in all countries, although in smaller numbers. The scriptures mention we are a speckled bird. A confusion of face. There has been a lot of intermixing. There will be Israelites among all races in all countries, including the white race, who are the Edomites. Something like that can occur. So do not judge by a person's appearance. Check out their spirit and their vibe. Like Romans 8:16 says, if the person has a good vibe, i.e. not snaky, slithery, or caveman-y, it is possible that they could be an Israelite. For example, they could descend from Mexicans many generations back and no one knew. Zechariah 2:6 speaks of the Israelites fleeing from the land of the north or America because they will be saved from there. It also mentions that we have been spread abroad as the four winds of heaven, and that many will be saved from the land of the north, America. It says the same thing in Jeremiah 16 verse 15 and Jeremiah 23 verse 8. Psalms 2 verse 1. Why do the heathen rage, and the people imagine a vain thing? Why do the world elite and all the Edomite empires? Why did they stir up so much trouble, thinking that they would reign the world, knowing that they are not the true Israelites? Makes no sense. Imagining a vain thing. Why do these other races treat us so bad? Us the Israelites, blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. They think they are superior to us, when in reality they are so inferior. Why do they think they will reign the world, being that the world was created for us? The Israelites, according to 4th Esdras chapter 6:59, which includes Mexicans. Daniel 7 verse 18. But the saints of the Most High, Israelites, blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans shall take the kingdom. The saints are Israelites, Psalms 148 verse 14. And possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Amen. Musica. Fin. Spread the word.